thank you for being here. Welcome. So tonight's meeting is going to begin with a brief presentation by our consultants, Nelson Pope and Voorhees. They'll talk a little bit about the background of the project, what a comprehensive plan is, how we got to this point in the process, and give you a little summary of the contents of the draft plan that the committee has produced. If you want to follow along with the plan document, it is available on the town website. And I believe we're going to put a link up in the chat if you haven't been able to find it on the town website, and you could follow along in the document. Following the presentation, we'll open the public hearing. We're looking forward to hearing your comments tonight. Please be concise when it is your turn to provide comments. And I just want to point out too that we will, of course, take written comments after this evening for the next week or so until June 18th. And you can send those to the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee by email, and we'll show you what that email address is at the end of the presentation. The committee will be meeting again at the end of this month on June 30th to review the comments that we receive and to talk about them and decide how to respond to them in the document before ultimately making a decision to forward the draft to the town board for adoption. A couple of ground rules here on Zoom very quickly. Obviously, I think most of you by now are pretty familiar with the format, but please make sure to keep yourself muted when it's not your turn to speak. I will be going through and making sure that folks are muted if we're hearing other noise, but it's helpful if you can do that yourself for us. When we get to the public hearing, just please one at a time. We'll give you some instructions about how you can be recognized to provide comments when we get to that point. And then you provide your comments and we get on to the next person and let them provide theirs as well. All right. So with that, I will turn it over to, I believe I'm turning it over to Bonnie, right? From Nelson Pope and Voorhees.
Yes, thank you, Mike. So welcome everyone. My name is Bonnie Franson. I'm a partner with Nelson Pope and Voorhees, and I'm just going to lay out the agenda for you for this public meeting. And essentially we're going to run through and describe the project team who prepared the plan draft at this point, what a comprehensive plan and why it's important, what the process is that we've gone through to create this document, and essentially provide an outline of the content of what is in the draft plan in terms of recommendations, goals, objectives, and then we'll receive public comment to get your reaction to what is contained within the plan. So we were very lucky to work with a terrific comprehensive plan review committee, really a dedicated group of individuals who have overseen and facilitated preparation of this town plan. Our comprehensive plan review committee consists of town board members, zoning board members, planning board members, various members of town committees, as well as members from the community at large. Many have been working on this plan since 2018. And we really came into the process to help facilitate preparation of the plan as a primary consultant. And we were assisted by Sachi Pandey of Metropolitan Urban Design Workshop, who really facilitated the webinars and discussions on infill and redevelopment within the town. So essentially, what is a comprehensive plan? It really provides a roadmap for the town's future over the next 10 years. It's a document that guides the immediate and long-range growth, development, preservation, enhancement of the town. It has assessed current issues and opportunities, and it establishes, importantly, a vision for the next decade. And to support that vision, the plan identifies goals, objectives, and recommendations that allow the town to go in the direction of achieving this vision. A comprehensive plan is important because it establishes the foundation for land use regulations. New York State town law requires that when a town board adopts a comprehensive plan, the land use regulations, zoning must be in accordance with that plan. It's proactive. It anticipates rather than reacts to the needs of town residents and town-wide needs and finds ways to address them. It also finally, when other agencies are proposing improvements or projects, those agencies need to consider their projects and improvements consistency with the town's plan when they undertake them.
So I'm Adriana. I also work with Nelson Pope Voorhees. I'm going to be going over the comprehensive plan process. So when we prepare a comprehensive plan, we seek to answer 4 major questions through public input and the existing conditions research. We ask, where is the town coming from? Where are we now? Where do we want to go and how do we get there? And to the right, you can see a word cloud that encompasses all of the things that people identified as things they love about the town through the public online survey. In terms of the timeline, the CPRC actually started the comprehensive plan process back in 2018 and continued to analyze existing conditions between 2019 and 2020. That's around when Nelson Pope Voorhees came on board and helped to facilitate. In 2020, the CPRC continued to hold public workshops. They conducted an online survey, which formed the basis for the goals, objectives, and recommendations that are presented in the plan. At the same time, the COVID-19 pandemic really changed the way meetings and public outreach could be conducted. So it's really noteworthy that the CPRC was able to stay on track with regular meetings through Zoom. They hosted public online webinars to continue to bring in the public, and that engagement really did inform much of the draft plan that we're going to be discussing today. So the plan itself contains 5 sections, which includes an overview, an introduction to the process, the vision statement, a description of land patterns, and the goals, objectives, and recommendations. And those are really the meat of the plan. The goals, objectives, and recommendations were broken down into 6 topics or themes, and finally an implementation section. We'll dive into all of that next. The plan also contains a number of appendices, and those are generally background and supplemental information that guided the preparation of the plan. These were separated out into appendices so as not to be overwhelming when reading the plan itself, but they are available online, and you can delve into them if you want some additional background, and they're referenced throughout the comprehensive plan document itself. You are muted, Bonnie.
Thank you, Adriana. So with that, I'm going to give you an overview of really what's the core or the essence of the plan, and that's the vision statement. And the vision statement is key to setting the stage for the goals, objectives, and recommendations that are discussed throughout the plan document itself. So I'm going to read it aloud to you. The town of Poughkeepsie is an established yet evolving, vibrant, diverse, and community-centered Hudson River town, strengthened by its history, attractive neighborhoods, natural resources, and longstanding educational institutions. In the next 10 years, the town will revitalize, redevelop, and reconnect to redefine what it means to live and work in a 21st century Poughkeepsie. The town will pursue an environmentally and economically sustainable future by protecting and enhancing existing natural resources, expanding renewable energy infrastructure, pursuing connectivity by developing alternative transportation infrastructure, focusing development on abandoned or obsolete sites, and preserving its remaining open space, historic, scenic, and cultural assets and agricultural lands. The town will enhance and diversify the local economy by pursuing innovative strategies that focus on the needs of the community and the region, while preserving precious and important open space by incentivizing mixed use, walkable development in areas that have already been developed. The town of Poughkeepsie will be a place where a diverse and inclusive community of residents, families, and stakeholders can afford to live, work, and play, where trails and sidewalks connect neighborhoods with services and amenities, and with each other. So we're going to launch into a brief description of the goals, objectives, and recommendations for this plan. And as we presented a few slides back, the next set of slides outline the goals and objectives by topic. It should be noted that in the plan document, each objective has a number of recommendations that discuss various ways, options, alternatives to implement the objectives. The recommendations will not be discussed in detail today, but they can be accessed from the document that is available on the town's website.
The first goal relates to land use and zoning throughout the town. It seeks to focus new development in traditional centers and underutilized, already developed and infill opportunity areas, thereby protecting the remaining green space in the town. The objectives in this recommendation focus on ensuring that the town's local law acts to conserve natural areas and encourages appropriate new development within already developed areas of the town. The objectives and recommendations for this section also discuss zoning incentives to encourage sustainability and a diverse economy. And the section also discusses methods to diversify, improve access to, and even rehabilitate housing in the town. The objectives in the land use and infill chapters are captured in a conceptual land use map. This plan emphasizes the importance of focusing new development on infill areas or areas that are already developed and may be underutilized. In addition, the plan encourages the conservation of the town's existing open space and the maintenance and improvement of existing established neighborhoods throughout the town.
So the next topic is opportunity areas and infill development. And this plan is particularly noteworthy in comparison to the prior town plan in that it especially emphasizes infill and reuse. A goal of this document is to facilitate and focus future development at underutilized and infill sites that already benefit from existing access to transportation, utilities, community facilities, and other infrastructure. Within this goal, the CPRC expanded on this concept by focusing on concepts of placemaking, walkability, and smart growth that were introduced in the 2007 plan by setting clear objectives for where these concepts can be applied, such as old vacant shopping centers, existing town centers, and older industrial or light industrial sites. A centerpiece of this plan is what we refer to as the placemaking and design principles for infill development. With ideas formulated from the second webinar workshop, we created what we consider a toolkit to help understand how the concepts of placemaking can apply to almost any infill project within the town. It walks the reader through how to look at an infill site, identify its strengths, and conceptualize how to activate it with new uses and activities that are rooted in the ideas of placemaking. This is a page from the Placemaking and Design Principles Toolkit that illustrates how a conceptual plan for a vacant or underutilized site in Poughkeepsie can be transformed into a mixed-use, vibrant neighborhood.
The next section is natural resources, open space, and agriculture. This chapter contains two goals. The first focuses on the enhancement and protection of natural resources and open space in the town, especially along the three major creeks, their riparian areas, tributaries, and associated wetlands and floodplains. The other goal focuses on sustainability, food security, and diversifying an agricultural economy in the town. The objectives and recommendations in this section relate to both goals, because in the town of Poughkeepsie, those topics are very closely intertwined. Objectives include using zoning tools to facilitate the conservation of natural resources, planning for preservation by writing a natural resource inventory and open space plan, encouraging future development to incorporate natural systems and green infrastructure into their designs, and using land use tools to diversify agricultural uses throughout the town, such as encouraging value-added agricultural uses and promoting small-scale agriculture. The town also has a hugely valuable scenic and recreational asset in the Hudson River, but topography and existing land uses can make access to this resource difficult. The plan proposes to reconnect the town both physically and visually to the Hudson River by pursuing the creation of a riverfront trail, securing new lands along the waterfront for public use as it may become available, enhancing possible recreational opportunities at new and existing public access points, and ensuring that public riverfront access is prioritized where new development may be proposed along the river. Again, we encourage you to check out the plan to review the recommendations to better understand how the town might actually implement these ideas.
So the transportation section examines how the town can continue to pursue an interconnected and multimodal transportation system of trails, sidewalks, streets, and rail systems, and promote complete streets, which are designed to safely accommodate pedestrians, bicyclists, motorists, and transit riders. The plan includes proposals to develop more off-street trails and safe bike routes, improve walkability, especially between neighborhoods and public transportation routes, improve public transportation options so that they're reliable and convenient, and then to plan for future transportation technology trends such as electric and autonomous vehicles. Finally, the town seeks to support and honor its unique history and character. It specifically seeks to preserve its significant historic, scenic, and cultural assets in order to preserve and enhance town-wide and neighborhood character, promote neighborhood pride, and foster a strong town-wide cultural identity. Objectives in this chapter include continuing the preservation of local landmarks and landscapes throughout the town, encouraging the adaptive reuse of historic buildings, and ensuring that the town's scenic and historic resources are maintained and protected while encouraging cultural expression throughout the town.
Okay, so the last and final section of the plan is the implementation section, and that discusses the procedure for adopting and filing the comprehensive plan. It briefly outlines, it briefly identifies the policy and planning tools that can be utilized for implementing the objectives. And then it identifies the priority projects that will happen right after the plan is adopted. So first on that list is to amend the town's zoning, historic preservation chapter, and other land use regulations to be consistent with the recommendations of the plan, as we discussed earlier in this presentation. In addition, the Conservation Advisory Committee is already on its way to completing a natural resource inventory and open space plan, so that made the list. And the planning department is also dedicated to pursuing funding to implement the recommendations from the Arlington Main Street Redesign Initiative, which we didn't discuss in this presentation, but is discussed extensively in the plan. So again, the recommendations in the plan are themselves implementation strategies. At the end of the plan, we have an implementation matrix, which categorizes all of those recommendations by short, 1 to 3 years, medium, 4 to 7 years, long-term, 7 to 10 years, or ongoing or continuing priorities. These are general timelines and are not set in stone, but will help to focus the town on the next project to undertake. So with that, I'm going to turn the presentation back over to Mr. Welty to facilitate the public hearing portion of this meeting.
Thank you, Adriana. And actually, I'll have Bill do that in a moment. But just in terms of the way this is going to work, we ask that you please raise your hand if you're on Zoom. You can select the raise hand feature near the bottom of your screen. If you're on the phone, you can raise your hand by using *9. Also, if you're on the phone and you need to unmute yourself, *6 is what you would use to unmute. Everyone who would like to speak will be given a chance. And as I said before, please be concise. There's others that want to speak as well. We will be taking more detailed written comments, and those can be submitted to the committee's email address, cprc@townofpoughkeepsie-ny.gov. And that actually goes directly to each of us. We will then have those for the next time we get together. All right. With that, Bill, you want to start us off?
The rule is a 3-minute. You're allowed 3 minutes, so that's why we said please be concise. And what I'll do is I'll tell you when you have 30 seconds left. I'll just say 30 seconds. If you have any questions or anything, that's fine. Let's wait till the end. And we'll go in order. So it's open now. Who wants to talk first? Raise your hand.
All right, so Sharon Phillips, you've raised your hand. You want to lead it, start us off? And if you could, remember to unmute yourself because you're still muted, Sharon. And if you could also just state your name at the beginning so that we know where the comments are coming from. Sharon, did you unmute yourself? No? All right, let me see if I can help. There we go.
I think I did it.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, great. My main concern is Speck and Kill Road, especially the area between Wilbur Boulevard and Route 9. There are a lot of problems with it. Most of the traffic comes in eastbound from the Cloverleaf, and it's going very, very fast. It narrows down to 2 lanes right at the pedestrian signal for 3 schools. And it's really dangerous. I've seen people run the red light when I walk across the street, and then when I come back from my walk, they run it again. It's not very visible. It's a dangerous light. And when I talked to DOT about it, they said, oh, well, that's not really a pedestrian signal. That's a left turn signal for the Orville Todd Middle School. Well, it's got buttons on it. It's got a crosswalk. It's the only crosswalk from Wilbur Boulevard to Route 9. So it looks like a pedestrian signal. But my thoughts are that the traffic from Route 9, which this whole Cloverleaf was built to assist 10,000 people getting to the main plant at IBM, and they aren't there anymore. That is 1,000 people now. So why not take that traffic and use the light at Route 9 and Speck and Kill Road and close the traffic from the Cloverleaf down? And the other discussion is that there should be a sidewalk from Route 9 to Boardman Road. But if you don't have a pedestrian crossing at Wilbur Boulevard, it doesn't help to have a sidewalk there. There's a continuous turn lane that also funnels high-speed traffic right through that pedestrian signal. The traffic goes about 50 miles an hour there. People are not prepared to stop. The other issue is that there is no sidewalk between Route 9 and Schoolhouse because that whole area is a parking lot. So if you're going to have a sidewalk, you need to include a sidewalk for that area. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Can I ask you, I believe you sent us some written comments as well, right?
I have.
Yes.
Okay, so I want to let
Yep.
you know we did receive them and those have been distributed to the committee as well. All right.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Raise your hand and let us know.
Don't be shy. Okay, Susan has raised her hand. Go ahead, Susan.
Hi, thank you. I'm actually the chair of the Climate Smart Task Force for the town, and I am a member of the CAC, so working a lot on the NRI. And I just want to say that I am excited and gratified to see what we call the sustainability elements in this plan. And that if these are actually brought to fruition over the next several years, that is going to make me very proud of my town, which is how I want to feel and why I'm doing what I'm doing. I just wanted to make that comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Next.
Teresa Levitch, I believe.
Yes, hi. My experience is I worked with the town of Unionville on their master plan. I was chair of their ZBA. So I enjoyed reading your master plan. One of the things that I didn't find, and maybe I just missed it, was you talked a great deal about infill, which I think is fabulous, but there didn't seem to be anything about either fining or taking over, derelict properties. You know, there seems to be no consequence for having a derelict property, and you can see it all up and down Route 9. I don't need to give you examples. I'm sure you know where they are. I don't know the legal procedure to do that, but some of these buildings are just falling down, especially, for example, in Red Oaks Mills. Is there anything in that master plan that addresses that?
We'll have to take a closer look at that, Teresa. But I guess enforcement is definitely something we can maybe see if there's something that can be discussed a little bit more in documents. So, thank you. Was there anything else that you had, Teresa?
No, that's it. I think the sustainability, affordable housing parts were excellent. Again, I think it's a great master plan. Obviously, everything can be, tweaked, but again, just in terms of that. And then the only other thing, and I don't know that you have it, again, I may have missed it, is notification for adjacent property owners. Now that may be more zoning and planning board issues than the master plan, but notifying, having to put out a placard or, a sign that, action is being taken on this property, on such and such a day in front of the planning board or the zoning board. So people have an awareness of what's happening versus, now the sign is going up and something's going to be constructed there. So I didn't see that in there either. Is that in there or I just missed it?
I know we talked about it. We'll have to go back and make sure that we addressed it in the document itself. That is something that I know the planning department, we've been talking about, wanting to move in that direction as well. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next.
I need to see a hand, preferably, or, here we go. Felicia Salvatore. You're muted, Felicia. There you go.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, no, Dan, I didn't tell her to call, but I agree with we have discussed that, you and I, Mike, about the notification for public hearings and stuff and signage. And I just wanted to reiterate that I think that also should be updated. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
And looking for some hands raised on Zoom, preferably.
There's a lot of people here, so don't be afraid to have your say.
Yeah. And if the raising the hand on Zoom is a problem, put on your video screen and just
Wave your
wave
hand.
your hands, and we'll try to keep an eye on the screen. Not seeing anybody, but there's quite a number of people on the call.
Everybody's happy with the plan? Nobody's got any comments that you want to make about the plan?
There we go. Doreen. All right.
Yes, I did not see anything in the plan about strengthening the town's aquatic resources protection law. I was involved in the 2007 comprehensive plan update. I was a member of the CAC at the time. And one of the recommendations in the plan under natural environment and green space, that recommendation number 2.5, it was never implemented. And the recommendation was that, I quote, "The town should strengthen its aquatic resources protection law, including a no net loss policy, and should examine the practicality of a no loss policy for regulated wetlands." And it also recommended in that same 2.5 that the town should periodically examine the adequacy of wetland, stream, and water body buffer setbacks to determine whether they are actively functioning as protection for these resources. And, since 2007, many of the town's aquatic resources have been lost or impaired due to development. And I suspect that much of the scientific data available today would likely show that the buffer setbacks in the town's current law are inadequate. So I didn't see anything about strengthening the aquatic resource protection law. And I also didn't see anything about tree protection in there. And that's something that's very important. So those are two of the things that were promised to be done in the 2007 plan. When that didn't happen, the town board said they would revisit it within 18 months. And here we are 14 years later. And I would like to see something about strengthening the resource protection law and something about tree protection. We have a lot of old growth trees in the town. Unfortunately, it seems like a lot of people come into the town and they don't value those trees the way they should for the benefits that they provide. So I'd like to see something about tree protection. And my only question is, I realize this is supposed to be a 10-year plan, but the fact that the front page of the plan says 2030 on it, it just seems a little misleading. Shouldn't it say 2020 to 2030 comprehensive plan update, or am I missing something? Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Doreen. All right, anyone else with comments? I'm seeing someone on a phone right now, maybe trying to speak. No? Last numbers were 732. Okay. Still not seeing any raised hands. Is there anyone else who would like to provide us some feedback? All right,
No.
Joan Freeman. Got it. Thank you. Joan, you're muted.
Yes, hello. I just wanted to, first of all, I'm very pleased with the plan. I'm glad that it's so forward-looking and positive and talking about our resources and developing an even more vibrant community. So it all sounded good to me. And I just wanted to comment a particular interest of mine. I noticed it was mentioned to have planning for alternative transportation. And in particular, I see a big future in electric vehicles. So in terms of encouragement for new businesses and new development, let's just encourage facilities for EV charging. I just think that's the way of the future. And so I just want to put a suggestion in about that. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Again, looking for raised hands. Zoom. Got 37 people on the call. There we go. Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yep. Can you tell?
Oh, okay, great. I'm
What's your
sorry.
name?
I didn't know. This is Millie Carroll. I had a question. I started reading the whole plan. I didn't get all the way through it. So I just have one question that directly relates to the area where I live, which is off of Spring Road. And I was wondering about the infill development that was mentioned. I think it was on page 38 in the plan, of Spring Road and Route 9. I didn't really understand where that was, what property that was for, that was planning to be developed.
Yeah, it's really a little bit more general. It's really the idea is looking at the sort of abundance of commercial property that we have in the town. There's quite a lot. Our expectation is that we probably have more commercial space than we will likely need in the future. And so it's really, the recommendation is about helping to find reasons for those places that are underperforming to be redeveloped or reutilized. And so again, it's not pointing specifically to anything, any property in particular, but it is, pointing at a number of those places along Route 9 that, have such an abundance of kind of older commercial space that may be redeveloped in the future. Does that help?
Redeveloped into,
Possibly some type of mixed development, continuing to have commercial component, but maybe allowing for some residential as well. And that's really the part of the document about infill is maybe you want to focus on as you read a little further. And we,
Okay.
as I mentioned earlier, we will be taking written comments to the CPRC's email address, which we're going to post at the end here again. But we'll be taking those written comments through the end of next week, the 18th.
yes, I did see that. I did make a note of that. I just haven't had time to really focus and read through the whole thing. All right. Okay. I'll send in my comments at, after I read the whole thing.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is it Millie? Millie, can you just
Yes.
Spell your name for me, please?
The last name's Carroll, CARROLL.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Anyone else? I have someone commenting in the chat, but that's not really helping. Has Spackenkill Road been addressed yet? Well, someone did speak to Spackenkill Road, but do you want to add a comment on that subject? You want to unmute yourself or? Bob Legacy, you raised your hand.
Yes, and reading the plan, I didn't get through the whole plan because it was long. And I saw that instead of the Arlington Town Center, now called opportunity areas, why was the name change made? Because the town had looked at town centers like Arlington being what, Fairview. So is it going to be a new emphasis on types of different zoning in the different areas, like in the town, like in the Arlington opportunity area?
No, not for Arlington. I mean, I think Arlington is, again, very well established, thoughts about Arlington that have developed over many years. And so there isn't anything proposed differently in terms of, even the name in that particular case. We're going to, if anything, we're looking for ways to continue to incentivize some, the infill development that we're seeing starting to take place more and more in Arlington. So the chapter name doesn't mean that we're changing anything about the town center in Arlington.
Okay, thank you.
There was the gentleman who was in the chat before, I guess, said he doesn't have a mic. So I'll just remind, and in the chat wrote, just wanted to support putting proper crosswalks at the school access points and a sidewalk on at least one side, preferably both sides of the street. I believe talking about Spackenkill Road. So thank you. And again, written comments, we will take those as well after tonight. So anyone else who wishes to provide a comment this evening? Okay, we got a thank you from the person on the chat. Thanks.
There's a hand up.
There is a hand up?
It's Teresa. It's Teresa again. I didn't want to take up too much time with too many questions.
That's all right.
But since nobody's volunteering, the other question I had was, you seem to somewhat address accessory buildings, in terms of the senior citizens wanting to live with their children. Now they have, things that can be done. So I just was kind of wondering, is that the type of thing that you had in mind for those, accessory dwellings?
Yeah, that certainly, that is one of the, I would say one of the clientele, right, for that type of accessory dwelling units. We do allow accessory dwelling units in the town now.
Right.
There are, some limitations on that we think we might want to look at when we're working on the zoning.
Okay.
But yeah, it could be for seniors, it could be for young people starting out.
Right. And you had several, I was thrilled. You had several pictures of Baxtertown, I think it is in North Carolina, with the mixed, I've been there. My daughter lives there, and that works extremely well. Somehow there's enough parking without it being a parking lot. People are sitting out on their porches or their decks, and that mixed type of use, not only is it pretty, but it's vibrant, it's walkable, and it's a destination. So I was really happy to see you had several references to that. I don't know what their code is, or what their zoning is in terms of that, but I certainly would encourage you to continue looking at that and how they came about getting that done. I've been there, and it's would be wonderful to see up here.
Thank you.
Susan, I do see your hand. Before I get to that, I just noticed someone in the chat. Mary, you mentioned something about Fairview. I don't know if you wanted to speak to that, or do you want me to just read what you wrote in the chat? I'll do that anyway quickly. In Fairview on Fulton between 9G and Route 9, it would be great if the section that does not have a sidewalk could have one added. As a senior citizen walker, I'm aware of the traffic that makes this a less than amenable walking path. And with many student rentals in the area, there are walkers going to the college. It would be safer for all of us to have a full sidewalk on that street. Thank you. Okay. Very good. You're welcome. Right, Susan, you had your hand up.
Thank you, Mike. We have various things in the plan about renewable energy and sustainability. Specific question I have, is there anything that the town can consider doing to make our business areas, our town centers, friendly and inviting to private businesses, specifically in that arena? So for example, maybe in terms of the tax code, like, again, I don't know that much about this, but I'm just asking if that's something that can go into the planning. So for example, up in Red Hook, there is a store called the Ozone. Some of you are familiar with it, most likely. It's up by Greg Farm, and this is a store where you can buy bulk products to eliminate use of plastic and all kinds of other things. And they have some different kind of recycling opportunities there that we don't get in our home recycling. So I was just wondering if there's anything that town can do to make this an attractive place to bring in those kinds of businesses that we really don't have here. Thank you.
Susan, I imagine that's really driven by the market, right? I mean, I imagine they're looking for a certain demographic or that is going to help their business grow. But hopefully, yeah. I mean, it would be great if we could figure out how to get some more of them a little closer to home. Ian provided a comment in the chat. I don't know if you want to. Okay, the question was, I didn't notice prospective capital projects listed in the draft. Are there separate resources where this info is readily available? If you're talking about something like a capital plan, we don't really have that at the town level, but something we could also consider. I don't know if you have anything else to add to that, Ian? Preferably not in the chat, so I have. No? All right. If you have any, not really. Okay, general question. Fair enough. Thank you. All right, others who would like to provide comment? Oh, Bob Legacy, I saw your hand again.
Yeah, I'm sorry, because the second time I've spoken, as I said, I only read it maybe a third of the way through. The arterial highways, we have discussions in the Arlington areas, were put in years ago because of the massive traffic. Nowadays, the arteries are more of a hindrance than a a blessing to any of the businesses in the district because it cuts off north and south and Arlington and throughout the whole city of Poughkeepsie and the town going out, to past 44 Plaza. Did the plan address anything working with the state and the county, maybe to find other uses for the arterial, like boulevards or, adding bicycle or walking paths?
Thanks, Bob. Yeah, the town is currently participating in a study with the Dutchess County Transportation Council and the city of Poughkeepsie and the DOT that's looking at, it's called the Poughkeepsie 94455 initiative study. So part of that is looking at the arterials as they pass through the city, and then also as they extend out here in the town to right here to Town Hall. And so a lot of those options are being studied right now. The comprehensive plan does, support continued involvement in that and ultimately in working through some of the recommendations of that study. So absolutely.
Thank you. Anybody else? I'm delighted. I'm very surprised for a public hearing with something like this in front of you. But I really do appreciate everybody's comments. Please remember, you can send us an email. If you don't want to talk, that's fine. We still want the information. And if you have any comments or anything, please get a hold of us. Email us and tell us what you think.
Maybe
What do you
Adriana?
want to see 10 years from now in our town?
I was just going to say, Adriana, maybe you want to put up the next step slide quickly so we can have that up on the screen and I can just walk people through that. Is that all right?
Yes, 1 second. I gotta set it up again.
Adriana, I can do it if you need me to.
Oh no, I have it. It's right here. Get it into a sludge. All right. Oops. Okay. Here we go. Sorry about that.
Thank you. And so just again, I want to reiterate that, if there's a lot in the document, maybe hearing a presentation tonight or hearing other people's comments, has given you some thoughts. We'd love to hear them. Please, provide those to us if you could by email. The email address is there. It's CPRC. That's the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee's email address. CPRC@townofpoughkeepsie-ny.gov. We'd like to receive them by next Friday, the 18th, if at all possible. That would give us the opportunity to review those comments and to, when we meet again on the 20th, to go over the comments that we've received and think about what kinds of changes we may still want to make to the draft. Ultimately, the committee is coming to an end. The work of this committee for the last 3 years is coming to an end. They'll be, once we've made some changes based on your feedback, the plan would go to the town board for final review, for public hearing again, and for adoption. So, we'd love to get your comments now. Obviously, you'll still have other opportunities in the future. If you haven't already looked through the plan, it is available on the town website. You can go to the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee page on the town website, and it's right there at the top. Again, the comments can be emailed to us at the address that you see on your screen.
Okay, so one final request. Any comments or concerns? I want to thank everyone for taking your time tonight and to read through this plan. I'm doing it myself. I can tell you that the 9 people on this committee are paid staff, our professional staff, and our vendors have done a smashing job on this. I think that's a British word, smashing job. And we're getting close to the end. When we're finished with these comments, we'll be submitting the new plan to the town board, and they are going to have a public hearing on it. So there'll be another chance. And there's an email address. So look at our town. If you have an idea, that'd be a great thing to put forward. Ideas are what we're looking for. Any other comments? Okay, I'm going to close this public hearing. Seeing none and hearing none, the public hearing is closed. Okay, thanks, everybody. Good night. And God bless.
Thank you all.